I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is a joint meeting of the Monroe County Board of Commissioners and the Monroe County Council. I will note that we have Vice President of the Board of Commissioners, Lee Jones, here, in addition to myself. And Ms. Wiltz, if you would introduce the council members who are present, please.
Absolutely, thank you. I'm Kate Wiltz. I am the President Pro Tem of the County Council. And with me, I have Councilor Trent Deckard, Councilor Cheryl Munson, as well as Councilor Marty Hawk and Councilor Jeff McKim. And I believe that is everyone who is on from the council.
And we'll introduce folks as they come in. Ms. Rice will help with that, if that would be great. I will note as well that we have Chief Probation Officer Linda Brady present, Public Defender's Office Michael Hunt, and we have Jeff Kerr from the Prosecutor's Office present as well. And just joining us right now is County Commissioner Penny Giffens. So that is everyone we have. Oh, Judge Mary Ellen Decoff is on.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can. Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, good. The mute thing came up, and that's fine. So yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. All right. And Ms. Rice, who else did I miss here?
I see April Wilson is on staff, and she's with us. Colby Wicker, our council intern. You mentioned Linda Brady, so I think we're good. So far, I see 15 panelists and 9 attendees. So
Good.
we may have, I know our council president may be just a tad late, but he's planning on joining us.
Excellent. Thank you all. So first and foremost, we wanted to see if there are any comments from our panelists regarding priorities, challenges, solutions. And I think it would be wise to start with Judge Decoff, just because her connection is a little tenuous. And then we can go around and see who else has any comments to make.
Okay, thank you. I would like to say that I appreciate the commissioners including us in the study that was done and getting us a copy of the report. We have the report. We've looked at the report as the Board of Judges, and we are more than willing and actually pleased and anxious to have further discussions about the correctional facility, the system in Monroe County, how we improve some things, how we look at some things. And we're taking that research, applying it to what we have, what we're involved in. We're involved in actually a multitude of studies right now with various, through various grants and various agencies, and looking at the criminal justice system as well. So we are looking forward to working with the community and the other members of the branches of government so that we can all prioritize what it is that we believe is important to the community and figure out ways to move forward. Monroe County has always been very good at that, and to continue to do that so we can address the concerns that have been raised and perhaps raise some new ones and discuss and continue to discuss issues. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Does anyone else on the panel wish to offer comments on the criminal justice reform study? Councilor Wiltz.
I'll go. I don't have a long treatise or anything. I just wanted to acknowledge all of the work and effort that has gone into this, both on the part of our consultants who spent a lot of time on this study and a lot of time with the people of Monroe County getting this information, but also wanted to acknowledge the department heads, the staff, and the local folks who have all contributed to this product. It's an exciting product. It's got a lot of information, but I'm hopeful that we're going to approach kind of the next steps with open minds and be ready to think about these complicated issues in ways that are inclusive and constructive.
Yeah, excellent. Indeed, there were a lot of folks in the community who contributed. We had community conversations. And of course, all of the Monroe County related departments have been involved, providing a lot of information to our consultants who kind of winnowed it down. Although the report's very long, it's still very compact. There's a lot of information there. And let's see if anyone else on the panel wishes to offer anything, and we'll come back to the panel. Commissioner Jones.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that this is a pretty huge thing for us to wrap our arms around. It involves so many different components. We're going to really need a lot of buy-in from the community and help from the community. There's going to be a lot of financial things for the council to struggle with. The courts and the rest of the court system are obviously going to probably be the leaders in this. They work most closely with what is needed in the future. I think for many of us, it was a bit of a shock to hear that we were going to have to look at a new jail pretty much very quickly, which is not something that can be done quickly. It's going to, if that is the route we're going to have to take, it's going to take years to do it. In the meantime, it's so important that we implement whatever programming we can to keep people out of the jail, both keep them from ever going there in the first place, and if they do end up there, help them stay out once they leave. We really need to work on recidivism. It's particularly disturbing that we see that often within a family line, people keep on running into the same justice problems over and over. And it seems that there are ways for our community to intervene and break some of these chains that we have going. So anyhow, I just want to say I'm extremely hopeful about this. I think we really can do great things, but I think it's going to kind of be a step at a time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Jones. Looks like Councilor McKim has his hand up, and then we'll go to Councilor Munson. Councilor McKim.
Thank you. So I guess it probably goes without saying, but I think the biggest challenge here now is for us to keep the process moving forward and not lose any momentum, not let this report become just another report on the shelf. And so my guess is that Commissioner Thomas is probably going to throw out a suggestion for kind of a governance structure to move this forward. But I think once we come up with a governance structure, I think just we have a series of recommendations that go from the fairly straightforward to the much broader. And I think the goal of whatever governance structure we decide on moving forward, the first task will be to operationalize and prioritize each of those recommendations, come up with an appropriate set of metrics so that we can communicate to the public what kind of progress we're making. I mean, obviously the big metric is jail population, but even with that as the primary metric, there's going to be other metrics associated with each of these recommendations. And so, yeah, I'm assuming, like I said, we're going to be talking about what kind of structure would be best to move that process forward.
Yeah, I will thank you, Councilor McKim, and I will note for the record that Council President Eric Spoonmore has joined us. Welcome. And next is Councilor Munson. You are muted.
I'm unmuted, and thank you. I missed the first meeting between the commissioners and council on this important project. And so I have probably read the report more recently than some people. And I was both surprised and not surprised by a number of points. I was surprised by some of the findings. In particular, the increase in the number of women jailed, an increase in the age of the people booked, that the jail population had exceeded capacity since 2004. I knew it had exceeded capacity, but I didn't know its long history. That the jail capacity was projected for 2049 to be 448 beds. Goodness, I hope that's not the case. And that could be reevaluated. But mostly that the jail cannot ensure providing constitutional levels of inmate care and custody. And looking at the findings, I was not surprised in any way by the recommendations. And you all have read those. And I really appreciate seeing the findings and recommendations laid out so clearly, because all of us in county government, all components of the justice system, and the people who make decisions to help fund and operate the justice system have to work together to to resolve the issues that are in front of us, and they are serious. So I'm hoping that the community is ready to participate with us and see this through. And thank you to all who have been involved in this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, great point. Councilor Spoonmore, did you want, oh, I'm sorry. Councilor Deckard's next, and then we'll go to Councilor Spoonmore.
Thank you very much. I'll just be really brief. I think I said some things at the last meeting, but I'm wholeheartedly impressed with the thoroughness of this report. I think that it's big, I think, but the reading is easy and the takeaways are very clear. Now, the magnitude of doing all the things that the report calls upon it is not a thing that we can snap our fingers and do. And what I'm really impressed by is the number of people that are here today that will engage this. Every elected official that has been in a candidate forum or filled out a questionnaire knows we are asked about our justice system. And every one of those participants know that not one single entity or one entity of county government makes up all the decision and the day-to-day and all that. And the report goes even beyond that. It goes into the community, working with our partnerships and around the community. And so the magnitude of all that is absolutely huge. It will be a beast to wrestle, but the easy, non-easy thing to do would be have not done the study, not asked tough questions, just gone about our day. But we've never been a community like that. We ask the tough questions. We expect that of each other. And here we go. And so it's going to take a lot. It will not be very easy, but I at least from my end of this, I'm really impressed by the people that sat down to give the amounts of data that went through this, the vulnerability of opening that up. Again, that's tough to do. And I think that's a lot. It says a lot about the character of our system and also the character of what we can do moving forward.
Excellent. Thank you, Councilor Deckard. Councilor Spoonmore?
Yeah, and again, my apologies for being late. It was kind of shuffling in between meetings at the end of the day here, but I'll reiterate what I said toward the end of the meeting last time, and as well as what I've heard here so far from the council members who've made some remarks. But really, I do want to see this continue to gain momentum. I want to, see further discussions about this happen. I want to see further opportunities for the public to become engaged with this. I think, this is a huge undertaking, and it's a real opportunity for us to make a big difference in the future of Monroe County and on many different levels. And so I take this responsibility extremely seriously. And these are big decisions that we're going to be working on here. So, but do look forward to hearing from other stakeholders. I think this will be a great opportunity tonight to hear any concerns or ideas for solutions. And we welcome all of that. We need to hear that input for us to be able to really put those solutions into place. So again, just glad to hear so far that the willingness to collaborate on this. And I'm looking forward to the outcomes that that we'll achieve here together. So thank you all, appreciate it.
Thank you so much. So what we've heard so far is a focus on continuing the momentum of having such a significant study being done and not just leaving it on a shelf, but actually engaging with some solutions. The importance of community involvement, which we're going to hear from the public in a moment. The importance of all of us working together, because not one of us can fix this, but all of us can together. And the fact that this is a huge task, but I hear a lot of excitement about the potential future that would reflect well on Monroe County government, but especially for the residents of Monroe County. This will benefit everyone in the county, not just the folks who are caught up in the system. So with that, unless I see anyone else, we will turn to public comment. Anyone else wish to make an initial comment from the panel? Okay, so let's go to the public and see if anyone in the public wishes to offer any comments on the report, on the process, anything that you see that you would like to comment on. Just raise your hand in the bottom of the Zoom screen. And I do not see anyone. Oh, here we go. Ms. Charlotte Zitlow, former Commissioner Charlotte Zitlow. Good evening.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, you can, okay.
Good evening.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity. I don't want to take advantage of it, and you've heard from me before, I'm afraid, many times. But I have not had a chance to read the report, but I've read what I've read about the report, and I've talked to several people about this report. I just want to reflect that I have been involved in this issue since 1960. I can't tell you the number of commissions and committees and task forces and little talking things and not-for-profits that I've been involved with that have engaged this. And I think we're very fortunate right now to have the group of people who's assembled in front of my face to consider this, because this is not an easy issue. And as you all fully understand, and it seems to me since 1960, when I was first on the committee under John Irvine, I was amazed to find out that something over 65% of everybody in the jail was there either because they were alcoholics or addicted to some drug, and or they had a mental health problem. So that was back in the 60s. And then a number of them were there because they were awaiting trial. Have you ever heard this before? That's exactly that. Every decade after decade, this is the story. And of course, I was involved in helping the jail be constructed in the 1980s. And we built it bigger. We built it with more cells than we had initially intended, because we got good bids, and that was seriously debated at the time. We were taken to court to try to not accept those bids, but we won that, and of course that wasn't nearly enough. And ever since then, we have been overcrowded to some extent. but once again, the percentages and the numbers and the reasons that we were overcrowded had to do with were the same problems over and over and over again. So, you know about Groundhog Day. We don't want to do that forever. And so I talked to Peter Iverson over the weekend in his listening session. He asked me what I thought, and I told him, and you'll hear it now, that I think that you've got to recognize that constructing a facility will not deal with those issues. You've got to deal with the issues themselves in order to resolve this problem. And that's not only that's not only to save money for the county, but it's to save lives and to help people have better lives. So you've got a human resource problem, a human issue problem, and a health problem that you have to deal with as much as a space problem. I'm sure you're all smart people and you all understand that very well. And I urge you to keep that in mind. That's the hardest part. Building a building is an easy part comparatively, but actually dealing with these issues successfully is very difficult. And I don't know I just heard that President Biden was going to some county in Wisconsin or Michigan or today, where they seem to have had a good program. Well, I think there may be counties around the country which have resolved these better than others. And I hope that you will be and I know you will be very thorough in keeping all these complicated issues in mind and going after that rather than just going forward and constructing a facility. So if you want, I'm looking through my boxes and boxes and boxes of information and hope I can find something useful. There was a Monroe County Community Corrections Coordinating Council for about 10 years in the late 60s and in the late 90s and early hundreds that Brian O'Neill had actually initiated. And sadly, all the minutes for those meetings, which I kept copiously and very carefully, are no longer, I can't find mine. And Joe O'Connor just had his shredded. So anyway, it's all right because you'll run into the same old things anyway. But I hope you will figure out a way to have a steering committee that just keeps their nose to the grindstone, just day in and day, or month in and month out, year in and year out, I'm afraid, until you've dealt with all of these issues. The mental health issues, the trial, the waiting for trial is a big one, and that's something you need to work out with the public defender to some extent. But you've got a lot of work ahead of you, but it's complicated. It's not simple, and building a building and finding money to build it and maintain it is hard. But how to help people's lives be reconstructed and help their lives improve, that's much harder. And I really wish you well. And I hope that I know you will work together. And I think there's a good panel of judges, and we've got really good people throughout the community that are willing to help. So I wish you well. And if I find anything magical in some wand in one of my boxes, I'll give it to you.
Thank you, Ms. Zitlow. We appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's see if there's anyone else who wishes to offer some comments now. Just raise your hand. Okay. I don't see anyone, and that brings us to, we'll come back to more public comment as we go here as well. It's our last item on our agenda. But our next item relates to next steps, and there's been discussion of having a working group of some form or fashion, and I wanted to see where we are at with that. And I don't know, Councilor Spoonmore, if you want to lead this part of the discussion for us.
Sure, and I'd kind of just like to get the input of others as well too, but I'm very much in favor of this approach. I think it makes sense to kind of keep the group small at the beginning, have a few discussions, see how things evolve from there, and if we need to include other stakeholders, but very much in favor of continuing this on and kind of assigning a small group of county stakeholders to commence these discussions going forward, and would like to hear some of the input from not only commissioners and council members, but also the other stakeholders who are involved in this process. I know we have a few of them on, I don't think on camera, but we have a few of them on the call here. So it would be really would like to hear any of the input that they have as well too on that idea. And it looks like Mr. McKim has his hand up.
Yeah, not to put her on the spot, but if Ms. Rice is on the call, I know that she has spoken to several counselors, including myself and commissioners as well, and probably other stakeholders as well, about kind of a possible governance or structure to help move this forward. I wonder if she might not be willing to make a comment on what she's been hearing.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So we have talked internally about going forward. Nobody wants to be stagnant or to let this sit on a shelf. So I have talked with some council members, commissioners, correctional center, sheriff, public defender, prosecutor. In fact, our health department, as you'll remember, one of our recommendations from our consultant was that many of these issues, as Charlotte Zelo just mentioned, these are human issues. These are health issues. Public health is really important. We have a lot of uninsured people who find themselves in jail and don't have good medical care, and then they end up with housing issues and transportation issues. So these are complicated issues, and having a public health perspective is really important. So in talking with the individual stakeholders, ask if they would be willing to participate, to sit at the table, have conversations in a public forum where we prioritize and we really look at the recommendations and say, what are our priorities? What can we tackle, and how do we tackle that? So everybody have not had anybody say that they're not interested. Everybody is ready and willing and frankly excited to meet and talk about these issues. So I think the idea would be that we would get those, again, council, commissioners, judges, probably a judge or two, a commissioner, a couple of council members, somebody from the prosecutor's office, public defender, health department. You'd have to have a coordinator or some staff to support you. Somebody's got to publicly notice the meetings, set the agendas, keep the minutes, and really keep the momentum going. Probably need some subject matter expertise as well. And so that's the idea. We can meet, as often as you want, maybe weekly at first. Once those priorities are set, maybe meet every other week. And as people go off and sort of gather the information, of course, it's already been said tonight, we have a lot of expertise in our community, people who are working on the very topics that the recommendations touch. So inviting those people to come to the table when it makes sense, when you have an item on your agenda. So I think it's very fluid, but that's the idea. And so far, so good. Everybody's interested. I think, you're here to, those people who are here tonight, and not everybody's here tonight, but I think it's good for you to talk about this and decide when you want to get going. And I can tell you that I had a little bit of a fear that we might have scared off our consultants, and that is not the case. So they are more than, I'm still getting emails from them. They're sending me great ideas of things they're seeing across the nation. I got a couple emails just today from them. So I think that we're going to be able to engage their involvement going forward to make sure we do this right.
And I'll also say that I think that, clearly this is something we're all taking very seriously. And in order to approach it in that serious way. I agree that, having some professional assistance in terms of facilitating these discussions going forward, having the necessary support for this group and the communications and everything that's involved with that is going to be absolutely essential for successful outcomes. So I fully, and I don't think this is a burden that we want to put on county staff. This is going to require a lot of work, and we know that that staff is already doing a lot of work. Plates are full, so we may need to look at ways that we can retain that type of support work for this going forward. But I totally agree that that's going to be an essential function for us. Does anybody else have other thoughts? All right, well, it looks like, does anybody have any objections to this? And also our stakeholders, I'm going to be happy when we can get back to the in-person meetings, because we won't have to rely on these cameras to see people. We'll actually be able to use our eyes and see each other. Do we have any stakeholders that have any thoughts on this plan? Okay, well, I think we should move forward.
And can I add, oh, go ahead, Kate.
Ms. Wilk.
I just wanted to, because I know, Margie, you listed out several representatives to this group, and I might have missed some, but I'm wondering, I heard the Board of Judges, prosecutor, public defender, health department, community corrections, was that one?
Community corrections does fall under the court, so I think they'll pull in their constituents. I may have left off a very important one, sheriff and correctional center. So Brad and part of it is I'm looking at the screen right now, but so the Sheriff Swain and Sam Crow both said they're in. So yeah, they're also in.
That was my next question. Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, I just realized as you were talking, like, dang it, I forgot to say them, but yes, they're in. But obviously very important. I would think that it would be good, again, we don't have to decide it tonight, but it would be great to have like a standing meeting, like the same day of the week or something. And we can send out a doodle poll to find out what people's schedules are like.
And these would be public meetings, so the community can watch and participate at various junctures. I'm sure that that's going to be something that the group will have to work through. Okay, good.
Okay, well, I think do we have anything further to discuss on that topic?
Were we going to discuss at all the possibility of hiring one of the consultants to continue to help us move this project forward and keep the momentum going?
I think that would be a good discussion to have. I don't know if we have any specific proposals in place right now, but it's something that I think should absolutely pursue and explore further. Do we have any, Ms. Rice, are you aware of any proposals that we have now?
Not yet. I have actually asked Eve Hill if she would consider, coming up with a letter of engagement, what that would look like, what the terms of that would be. I'm waiting on something from that. She very clearly pointed out that she only did part of the study, and that there was Ken Ray who did another part of the study. So I would imagine her contract might require some ability to reach out to sub-consultants as she sees it necessary. This isn't, I don't want to pretend that the study that we've done is a perfect study. It did what it could do in the time that we did it. We need to look a little deeper at some things. Why, one of their findings was continuance. Why are those there. That's a complicated issue, and it's not, just looking at, for example, the CCS entry, you're not going to get the whole story. And so we're going to maybe have to look deeper. These are not, we are going to be very solution oriented and need to identify the problems, but definitely then quickly turning to the solutions and what are those solutions. And so I think, Eve, as a lawyer, as a former Department of Justice lawyer who works on issues with disabilities, who works on mental health issues, and with national context, could be really helpful to us. So I've asked for that. I'm waiting to see what I get back. Of course, that would entail a contract going to the commissioners that have to be funded by the council. And we would want to make sure that the steering group supported that action. But I have asked for that. And I would expect that Eve would reach out to the other consultants as needed to, talk to them about what they found out, or to other people.
Great. I personally would be very interested in continuing to explore that as an option. I guess that kind of raises the question, are there any, I know it's just at first blush, are there any folks here in this meeting who are just, really kind of opposed to that idea? Or is that something that, we can all kind of agree on that it's good to explore further? Don't all chime in at once.
I'm certainly willing to explore it. I am concerned about costs, but
Right.
I think we all are, so.
And I will say on that, Eve said she wasn't really even sure how to structure it other than on an hourly basis. So it can be the kind of thing that you can see, like, we need a few hours of help here or there. I don't see it being this, giant, big round number contract. I see it being like a kind of an as needed hourly basis.
Okay, so it looks like we've got a few hands up. We'll go to Commissioner Githens, then Councilor McKim, and Councilor Deckard.
I'm definitely in support of maintaining Eve, our connection with her. And part of that is that I want to do this right. And I think doing it right will actually save us money in the long run and help a lot of people. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McKim?
Yes, and I'm certainly in support of this as well. And I think that the core group that we talked about earlier would be sort of responsible for managing any interactions with Ms. Hill. And I think the purpose would be to have her as our, not to lead the study or lead the efforts, but to simply be our kind of outside subject matter expert to bounce ideas off of, to help put things in context outside Monroe County and so on.
Thank you. Mr. Deckard.
Thank you very much. I don't have an objection to Ms. Hill in that staying on in that capacity to do that work. I do want to see, obviously, figures on cost, but I believe that those would be, in most cases, resources well spent after what we've done. I also want to encourage the group to think about something Ms. Rice mentioned briefly, and that is the management of all the logistics related to this. This is a program manager's nightmare at best. And with all the different entities associated with that report internally and externally, I think logistically at some point, the group will find that we need some assistance to make sure things happen timely. Otherwise, that's how reports, not doing that, that's how reports end up on shelves, because the task is just too cumbersome, and departments hit things that come up. I mean, council's approaching budget, commissioners are approaching whatever's coming up. Good heavens, the courts, the jail, the things you all have, prosecutor's office, public, I mean, everybody's got things, a logistical time piece that would maintain that pace alongside any work that Ms. Hill would continue to do.
Very good. And I think we also may want to, Ms. Rice and Ms. Shell, work as we kind of get a more clear picture of what potential costs may look like for something like this and that type of contract, what potential funding sources would be available to us, working with the commissioners on that as well too, I think will be important. We can kind of get an understanding of what those options look like as well. Okay. Any other questions on that? I think it sounds like we've got a pretty good plan here. I guess we do have the opportunity for additional public comment though, right? So I'd like to, before we finalize anything, we can turn back to the public and hear more if there's any thoughts or concerns there. Is this the appropriate time to do that, Commissioner Thomas? Okay.
That looks good.
All right. Looks like we have one. There are a couple folks. And first is Mr. Shelton. Welcome.
Good evening, Council and Commissioners. Jim Shelton with the Chamber. You may remember we supported the funding and the effort to go get the contract to get this done, and we certainly want to not see it end up on the shelf. I'm very encouraged by what you all have been saying tonight as a way to ensure that doesn't happen. And I think as a CASA who's for the last 8 years dealt with parents who were in the criminal justice system, we need to do everything we can to keep them from being incarcerated. It breaks up families, it makes them lose homes. And yet we've got to get their attention because they're dealing with drugs. And at a case where the dad, DCS removed the kids from the dad at Walmart, and he denied he'd been using, and on his way home, he totaled his truck. And if those kids had been in that truck, who knows what would have happened. So I'm encouraged, please do keep working at this. We don't want it to be on the shelf. We've done that too many times. And we've got a great group of folks here and in the stakeholders, and I think we can get some things done. So the Chamber supports you continuing on this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. And up next is Ms. Eit. Welcome.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, as a community member as well, I'm happy to hear, I was happy to read especially the part by Eve Hill and acknowledging all of the surrounding issues that feed into the criminal justice and the levels of poverty, the issues of transportation, housing. These are much broader than just the criminal justice system. And I think that our county and communities within the county overall can really benefit and come together if we can address these and see the positives of addressing them. So thank you for doing this work, and I'm hopeful that some very good things can come out of it.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have any further public comment on the proposed next steps and the plan for coordination and administration going forward? It does not appear that we do.
So I have a quick question. So the next step for us then is to move forward with having some sort of a poll done so we could figure out the best set day and time. I like that idea, Ms. Rice, for just establishing a regular meeting time. I would assume that's going to happen next. Is that coming from your office, Michelle?
I think we can you think we can handle that, Ms. Rice? Yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah, I can work with Kim and we'll get a doodle poll out to all of those stakeholders to find out what sort of daytime works best for everybody. And then we'll get our first meeting set. And again, if we, as we move forward, if we need to switch gears, we certainly can. But the idea would be, I think, to have like at first a weekly or at least every other week meeting where we're really digging in the report and identifying, Eve, if you'll remember, she had 20, she kind of went through 20 recommendations, and we'll just look at those facility issues as well as these recommendations, prioritize, what we ought to start working on and how we're going to work on it.
Perfect. And then I suppose the council and the commissioners will need to designate their representatives that will be on that group, and we can certainly get that done here very soon. Hopefully, within a week or so, we'll get all that sorted out as well too.
Yeah, you guys, the council have a meeting on the 13th, commissioners meet again on the 14th. We'll work to get this doodle poll out yet this week. And then, it'd be great if we could have, that first meeting set up for maybe the week of the 19th. And I know all staff can reach out to the other stakeholders and, follow up with any questions they might have.
Very good.
Great.
All right. I think we all have our marching orders here, but just to check one last time from our attendees here at the meeting, is there any final remarks that anybody has or anything else that we want to be aware of before adjournment? All right.
One thing.
Yeah, Ms. Rice.
I don't know if anybody else wants to toot our horn, but I did share with the council and commissioners an email that I just got today.
Yes.
And yeah, did you guys want to talk about that?
Yeah, please. I don't have it here in front of me. Can you?
I
think that's a good idea to mention that, though. That is important.
Yeah, and I'll offer one of the commissioners a chance. If you've got it handy, you guys want to mention it? It was just a tagline. So one of our consultants, Ken Ray, sent an email just this afternoon that said Monroe County had received, wasn't a giant write-up, but there was a little tagline in an article on these topics, and Monroe County got a little bit of love. And so the Monroe County study was cited as an example of a good jail study. It was in an article. It said Monroe County's not going unnoticed in the July 6, 2021 prison policy initiatives updates by Peter Wagner. You're cited as an example of what to do in contrast of what not to do. And he says this is a highly regarded national website. The article that Wagner mentions in his blog is Smoke and Mirrors, a cautionary tale for counties considering a big costly new jail. And he gave the link, and we can put that up on our website. But essentially,
that's important. And there may be some media contacts who would like to review that information as well too. It may be good just to get the link in the comments here in the chat portion, just in case anybody wants to take a look at that.
Yeah, and I think, the idea is that, I can do that real quick, that, we are taking a systems approach and really looking bigger than just a straight line projection for what size of facility you need. And I just stuck the link. Yep, got it. And that goes to panelists. I hope I don't know if that goes to, if TSD can get that link and stick it out for everybody.
I put it in there. It's in the chat to the attendees.
For attendees,
Yeah, just for attendees, we're good.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Okay.
Great. All right. Well, it doesn't appear that there's any additional remarks or comments from anyone, any of the panelists here. So, Commissioner Thomas, I think we're probably good to adjourn.
I believe we are. I appreciate everyone being here today. I know it's great to see you all, even if it's just your names. And we definitely have some work ahead of us collectively as part of the internal working group. It does look like we have one more comment from Ms. Zitlow.
Yes.
She's got her hand raised. Good evening again, Ms. Zitlow.
It's a big thank you for taking this seriously.
Well, that's easy enough. Thank you. And we thank everybody. There are a number of people here attending, but have chosen not to speak at this time. But we will be calling on you at some juncture for your expertise and your experience and your assistance. So just be aware of that. I believe we are ready to adjourn unless anybody has an objection. All right, thank you all so very much, and we are adjourned. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.